You know that little black and white square you see on pretty much every restaurant table these days? The QR code menu? Well, it's got a secret. It turns out it's not just about what you're going to order, it's about making the planet a little bit greener. And that story is way bigger and a lot more surprising than you'd ever expect.
I mean, think back a couple of years. It felt like these things just popped up everywhere, almost overnight, right? You'd sit down, scan the code with your phone, and boom, the menu was right there. It totally became the symbol of dining during the pandemic. But here's the thing, when the world started opening back up, a lot of them just stayed. So why'd they stick around?
And believe me, when I say they took over, I'm not exaggerating. The National Restaurant Association found that a whopping half, 50%, of all full-service restaurants in the US switched over to them. This wasn't some tiny little trend. This was a massive, industry-wide shift.
So yeah, the thinking at the time was pretty straightforward, wasn't it? It was all about hygiene. It was this really clever contactless way to avoid passing around those laminated menus that, hundreds of people had touched. We all kind of figured that once things got back to normal, paper menus would make a comeback and these QR codes would just be a weird memory.
But here's the plot twist. A lot of restaurants kept them, and it wasn't because they were still worried about germs. Turns out, they had stumbled onto this incredibly powerful, long-term benefit that was hiding in plain sight the entire time. Okay, so this is really the heart of it. While all of us were looking at the QR code as a tool for health and safety, its real staying power, the real reason it's still on your table, is its surprising role in sustainability. It quietly became one of the easiest ways for a restaurant to go green. And this isn't just a hunch. The researchers who really dug into this, Ozturkcan and Kitapchi, they put it perfectly. They said this isn't just about cool new tech. It's about building a restaurant industry that's fundamentally better, stronger, and more resilient for the future. So the big question is, how? How exactly does a little digital menu make a restaurant more sustainable? Well, it's kind of like a recipe. There are a few key ingredients that all work together to make something amazing. First things first, it helps to understand the challenges we're talking about. The restaurant industry as a whole has a pretty big environmental footprint. We're talking about huge amounts of food waste, tons of energy and water use, and of course, all that paper and plastic. These are the big problems that are just begging for a solution. And this is where that humble QR menu steps in as a surprising hero. The most obvious win? No more paper menus. That instantly saves a ton on printing costs. And that efficiency boost? It helps out the staff who don't have to run menus back and forth all night. But the biggest impacts are actually on the food itself. Suddenly, the menu becomes this dynamic tool to fight waste, give customers way more info, and even support local farmers. But honestly, that food waste part, that is the real game changer here. Just think about it for a second. Let's say the kitchen has a bunch of amazing tomatoes that are about to go bad. With an old paper menu, they're stuck. But with a dynamic digital menu, they can whip up a tomato bruschetta special, pop it right at the top of the menu, and sell it all before it ever becomes waste. That's a massive win. And get this, the ripple effect doesn't stop at the kitchen door. A QR menu can actually help build a greener food chain. You've got unlimited space, right? So you can tell customers exactly where their food came from, highlight if it's from a local farm or organic. This kind of transparency helps cut down on food miles and all the CO2 that comes with it, all while giving you the nitty-gritty details on nutrition and allergens you might need. Okay, so these are all awesome changes for a single restaurant, right? But what if I told you this simple menu choice connects to something, well, massive? These local actions don't happen in a vacuum. They actually plug right into some of the biggest goals on the entire planet. So if you're not familiar with them, the United Nations has a set of 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs for short. You can pretty much think of them as a global to-do list for humanity, a blueprint to tackle everything from poverty to climate change and build a better future for everyone. So you're probably thinking, how on earth does a menu connect to global climate action? Well, the research draws some super clear lines. By cutting down on food and paper waste, it directly supports Goal 12, which is all about responsible consumption. By reducing the carbon footprint from making and shipping paper menus, it chips in on Goal 13, climate action. And by connecting restaurants with tech companies and local farmers, it even helps with Goal 17, which is all about building partnerships for the goals. Pretty cool, right? Wow, so it's pretty clear this simple bit of tech is punching way above its weight class. It's having this surprisingly powerful and positive impact.
So what does that mean for the future of eating out?
But, okay, let's be real. Is it a perfect silver bullet solution? Of course not. Like any piece of technology, there are always trade-offs, and there are definitely some challenges we need to think about.
I mean, we absolutely need to talk about data privacy and security when we're connecting our phones to these systems. Then there's the whole issue of digital accessibility. What about folks who don't have a smartphone or aren't comfortable using one? And at the end of the day, restaurants have to balance all of this with the most important thing, just keeping their customers happy.
At the end of the day, though, when you weigh everything out, the takeaway is pretty powerful. That simple little act of scanning a code, it's way more than just convenient. It really is a big step towards creating a restaurant industry that's more efficient, more resilient, and a whole lot more friendly to our planet.
So next time you're out and you pull out your phone to scan that little black and white square, just take a second to think about the bigger story. It's a fantastic reminder of how a simple change, something that was born out of pure necessity, can end up changing so much more than just the way you place your order. It can actually help change an entire industry for the better.